Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? But thank you for coming on to my video again. Today, we're going to be looking at the penultimate in the series of how to create a golden age piece of music. And we're going to be looking at the percussion. So it's going to be nice and simple. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Before we start, please like, subscribe if you enjoy this content. Anything you think I can do better. You know, this is me learning just as much as you. You know, with content creation. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, join my Discord as well if you'd prefer to talk to me personally. And privately, then please, go ahead, join the Discord. There's a huge community there that would just love to have you. Yeah, and then you'll have access to when I go live on Twitch and stuff like that as well. But yeah, before we get bored, then let's just move on, shall we? So moving on into Logic. Okay, are we there? Yes, we are. Okay, so let's go through this as quickly as I can. There's been lots of changes that I've done in terms of automation, but the main things are the drums. I'll show you very quickly later on what I did, but this is a work in progress. The way that we've done this is in such a way that we've had to re-automate things as we've added different parts in, and that's just to keep a little bit of consistency in the videos. Usually what would happen is that you would be writing a piece and you go, oh, I know what I want here, I want this, and I want that, and I want that, and etc. But with this, what we've had to do is go through it and make logical conclusions from a reduction. So, keeping that in mind, it has been a process, and this is a really good way of doing it as well. You're going to learn a lot from how to bring these elements together from doing it like this. But I'm just going to I'm going to play you the first two sections, and you can take a listen to the whole piece with the percussion. Okay, so as you can hear, there are lots of things going on in the percussion, but the main things are that I'm either doing one of two things. Okay, if we just look at these, I'm either hitting the main beat or I'm accenting an off beat as well. So in this section, you can see where I've accented because it's a slightly deeper red. So we can see this note here, that's the one that is really, really prominent. So that's going gadum. Yeah, so that's the accent. Whereas here on the strong third beat, that is the one that has the most. Okay, and then here as well, we've got a rising crescendo, with very small crescendo, but that's what we've got. Okay, so there's one way of doing it is on the one, and then the second way is accenting the beat on the off as well. Okay, depending on where the melody is as well. So with this melody, it's ba-bam. Yeah, so it's on the one, but there is a note leading into that one. And then halfway through, there's gang gang, yeah. So bam bam. So then the offbeat, which is here, dum dum, is the accented beat. And the same here as well. This, if you have a look here at the note velocity, is slightly harder than this because that is the strong beat. Okay, then we've got a crescendo, as I said, so that's leading to the one. Yeah, so those two two ways of looking at it. And then we go on to rolls. So what I want to say about rolls is I want you to think of them a little bit like in pop music or trap music or any kind of electronica, where you have this big riser that goes shh, up to a hit and goes shh, yeah, and you hear the thud as well of the bass drum. Okay, that's what a roll is, because you know, way back when the orchestra was king, they would have this big roll going bang and then straight onto the one. Yeah, so that's where they're taking it from. This isn't something that is brand new. We've been doing that, and the only way to sustain with percussion, because the majority of percussion was or is mallets, is using mallets. The way to do that is to roll so that all of the notes sound cohesive, and then change the dynamic velocity leading up to that main hit. So here, that's exactly what I've done. I've taken the timpani roll and the hit, and all I've done is I've added a roll and put the bang on the one. Yeah, and with the main drums as well, we'll hear that. So a nice small one there, and a nice big one here. Okay, and then to add intensity, I've got rise and hit cymbals here. So in the rise and hit, you can either have just normal whooshes, or you can go to the natural sounding whooshes, which are literally rolled cymbals. So you'll hear that here now, just to add a little bit more excitement. Yeah, cool. And then because I really like low ends, and Spitfire have made a great little low end, super hyped tom from the Easter Island stuff. I think it comes with Albion 1, and with all of that this is what this sounds like. Cool. So once this is all mixed and everything's out of that way, then that Easter Island is going to be really beefy, isn't it? Okay, and the last thing to talk about is just the marimba, glock, and harp. And I'm just using these guys like a bit like Danny Elfman would use them, really. So I'm using them for melodic purposes, which by here, this is what I'm using it for. Cool. I think he also uses them in tandem with clarinets and so many other things. But then here as well, I'm also doubling up with, this is a very, very Danny Elfman thing to do, which is I am doubling this with the flutes. No, with the piano. Okay, so if we just take a little listen to the harp here. Okay, and we can even take a listen to that with the piano. Again, two complete different parts, just to give that contrast, because one is panned really far left and the other one is quite spread out as well. Okay, before that as well, I think I used the marimba here just to double up on this piccolo and flute part towards the second half. Yes, so they just play together. Also, that's giving a stereo spread as well, because piccolos are pretty much all the way over to the left and pushed back behind the flutes. Then it's the flute slightly forward on this side, maybe slightly more towards the middle, ever so slightly. And then the marimba is usually, well, I think they're usually central-ish. They're kind of just placed just behind or just slightly to the right. And then the glockenspiel is usually over here as well. But I think the marimba is usually next to the timpanis. Doesn't quite, I think it's just wherever there's room in the concert hall for them. I think by the time you get that far back to percussion, they can kind of be put wherever really. But you know, timpanis usually right over to the right. I've kept them central because we're going to be mixing this, and I do want most of the bass stuff down the middle, except for, you know, like anything that's actually supposed to be here on the right hand side. Okay, so I think that's everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it play through for you now, and you can take a listen to the full track. Okay, so there it is, guys. Yeah, just keep in mind when you're doing anything to do with drums, you know, that melody is king in this scenario. You know, all you're doing is you are trying to bring more emphasis to the melody. Yeah, so that's what we're thinking is strong beats, important beats, and melody is king. As long as it's not getting in the way, and it's accenting that, or it's bringing focus back to it, or maybe even filling in where the melody isn't, then you should be okay. Yeah, especially, you know, thinking about the filling in thing. Just find gaps. things that, you know, if there isn't anything that's happening and you don't feel like there you know, there needs to be anything melodic that happens there, then just stick it in, see how it sounds. You could find that it doesn't need anything. Often as composers, our worst enemy is silence, and actually it can be our greatest ally. There's been a lot of cases actually that, you know, where I've overcomposed for a client and they've gone, hold on, wait, you know, can you take this out? And I've been like, I don't want to. I really like that. And it wasn't anything that it was bad, but actually, you know, there didn't need to be anything there. There was no need for it. A great example is I've just done a track. It's just some really, really subtle strings, which I did a little bit too much for, apparently. The brief by this amazing guy called James. He said, just, you know, something nice and simple, solo violin, maybe just had a few strings as well to the end. And I gave him, that solo violin, but then I also gave him some counterpoint and I gave him a load of strings. He ended up using them, but you know, the feedback that I got from him was funny, because I thought, no, I've done it again, you know, and thankfully, you know, he said that it was really good and it's what it needed. You know, which is one of the rare cases actually where that's happened. But, you know, that's what can happen in these scenarios. You know, I just tried to give him, you know, what I thought it needed and maybe a little bit more, and he went away and just added all of it, you know, which is really humbling. You know, I just thank James as well for that opportunity. But yeah, you know, thank you guys for coming along anyway and listen to me waffle again. I hope that there's been some nuggets in there, you know, that you will find useful. But yeah, you know, don't worry about percussion. You know, just don't overdo it. Just think, okay, it's better to do less with percussion than it is to do more, because if there's too much, then actually it can stifle what you've already got. Yeah, especially, you know, your melody. Melody is king. And I think we'll leave it on that note. So as always, guys, happy composing, and I'll see you later. Take care.